The U.S. Central Command denying any of its naval ships have been struck after Iran said it hit an American warship with 2 missiles, forcing the vessel to turn back from the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran issuing a warning to U.S. forces not to enter that strategic waterway. President Donald Trump earlier pledging U.S. escort for commercial ships stranded in the Gulf, sparking threats from Iran that it would see such action as a violation to a more than 3-week ceasefire. The U.S. Central Command had promised support with 15,000 personnel and more than 100 land and sea-based aircraft. Iran in response telling commercial ships and oil tankers to refrain from any movement that was not coordinated with its military. Mitch McCann for CNN joins us live from New York. Mitch, the U.S. saying it has not seen any strikes, so no missile strikes from Iran. Apart from that, how is it likely to respond to these latest threats from Iran?
Yes, good morning from New York. Well, look, Donald Trump has warned via Truth Social yesterday that the US will use force here if it needs to. So that's something to keep in mind. But as you mentioned, there is certainly some confusion here in the US this morning as to what is going on. The Fast News Agency, which is linked with the IRGC in Iran, says 2 missiles struck an American warship. But as you mentioned, the US says this didn't happen. So what actually did take place isn't quite clear. What is known is that Donald Trump plans to guide vessels from the Strait of Hormuz, and that is something that is likely fraught with danger. While the Iranian Navy has all but been destroyed, according to Washington, the IRCG is operating what is called fast boats along the strait, which was spoken about in recent weeks. These are boats that are ready to attack whoever they deem as a threat to their blockade. They are small boats placed along the coastline. They are armed at times with heavy artillery. They can launch drones from those boats. And it's not as if the US can sort of bomb every one of them, considering they will often just look like fishing boats from above, and they could be sitting within highly populated civilian areas. So it makes it very difficult for the United States. So guide vessels or guiding any vessels through the Strait of Hormuz will be very risky for the US. Donald Trump has said this guiding will start in the morning Middle East time. It's now around 3:30 in the afternoon in Iran. So we'll have to see whether Donald Trump or CENTCOM says anything about the plan's success so far, or if these vessels have been struck in the coming hours. At the moment, plenty of confusion around what is actually happening there.
I'll wait for that update. Meanwhile, blockade, certainly on both sides, keeping the blockade, lifting the blockade for both, setting them as red lines to any deal on a more lasting ceasefire. Is the U.S. blockade having any kind of intended effect, intended in the first instance when this blockade was imposed?
Yeah, I think if you were to ask Washington that question, they would say, yes, this is working, because it's reported that Iran is losing about $500 million a day because the US is blocking any vessels going to and from Iranian ports. And Donald Trump sees this as effective, possibly more effective than bombing, in terms of trying to choke the Iranian economy and force them into a deal. On any agreement, the US has rejected Iran's latest proposal that came at the end of the last week, which reportedly included a number of key issues, but not the most important one, which is Iran's nuclear future. The authors of that agreement from Iran's side reportedly wanting to get a number of issues out of the way first before discussing the nuclear issue. So the key part of any agreement was really deferred. This war continues to present issues for Donald Trump politically. So what we're saying there is that he's determined to end this war as soon as possible. And one of the reasons for that is that his approval ratings here in the US are down to 34%. And recent polling out late last week shows 61% of Americans believe it was a mistake to start this war with Iran. Now, this is a conflict Donald Trump will want over, as I mentioned, because the longer it goes on, the more Republicans' midterm election chances will be impacted. But this decision to guide vessels from the Strait of Hormuz is a critical one. It is a risky gamble, perhaps, from the US president, given how fraught with danger this is. So we're going to have to see how it plays out in the coming hours.
Thanks. Mitch McCann there for CNA from New York.